Hello, hello, hello. I'm Chelsey.
And I'm Sammy, and this is Deepish. Okay. I can't believe
staring
it.
at your eyes like,
I know,
let's do
it's so
this.
much eye contact. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling so good. I'm feeling like nervous and excited.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so I know, I just honestly can't believe that we have made it to this point. I mean, it's not that I didn't think that we would do it, but just like from that conversation, should we start a podcast? And then
to now. I mean, it
Here we
feels
are.
like, yeah, I can't believe we're here, even though like we had this conversation 2 weeks ago and like we're literally here. But I feel like that's kind of how we are. We get an idea and jump like in like all the way. And that's kind of like how this is, this
Yep.
podcast.
100%. Okay, so I feel like we should just dive a little bit into how this podcast came to be and maybe start there.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy because I hadn't seen you in like a month.
Yeah.
And we decided to go to dinner at freaking Tsunami. Shout out.
Yeah.
The best sushi ever.
So good.
And
And that dinner just like slapped. Like I felt like we hadn't seen each other in so long that we had so much to catch each other up on.
it's so fun. And I will say this about us, like we're constantly texting and talking, but it's nothing like a good dinner, like getting deep with your best friend.
A lot of it's like surface level. And so I don't know. And I feel that way where I'll be going through something or like just life in general. And then I'll go to dinner with you. And then after we leave, I'm like, my cup is full.
1,000%.
I feel so seen, so validated after the conversations that we had because I obviously had come to you and like talked to you about the infertility that I'm going through and just like the feeling of comparison, all the things that I was feeling at that time. And you just hash it out, talk through it with me. And I felt so much better like leaving that dinner.
I know. And I feel like same I was going through. Just like with motherhood, I feel like you kind of get swallowed up in I'm just a mom or I'm just a wife or like you don't really have like you don't feel like you have this personality or like autonomy or anything. And even after just being with you for a few hours, I feel like, oh, I'm Chelsey, I'm funny and I have stories and I feel like that kind of propelled us into this conversation of wanting to start a podcast.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. So then we're in line at the movie theater, literally getting popcorn. I'm filling up my drink and you're grabbing our popcorn. And I'm just like, should we start a podcast?
I know, you were like
so
nervous.
I'm
You're like nervous to say it because you had been thinking about it.
Yeah. And so I'm like, should we do it? And then you're like, should we?
And it was the weirdest feeling because it was like, whatever it is, that feeling of like butterfly excitement, this is exactly what I'm being called to do. It was like that overwhelming feeling as I'm like filling up my icy at the movie theater. And it was like, yes.
Yeah.
And we couldn't even watch the movie.
Yeah.
We were just leaning over
the
like,
whole trailer.
What about this? What about this?
And like, honestly, like, why not us? Why not us?
Totally. So we leave the movies and I'm like, we shouldn't have even seen this. And we just talked for hours in your car after, like all of our ideas.
Just like chat GPTing names and like.
I know.
What's a name for two girls in their 30s for a podcast that best friends is like deep but not too deep? And here we got Deepish. But I don't know. That's what's so exciting.
It's kind of something for me, like wanting to start this. I feel like sometimes like the podcast kind of space feels like very oversaturated. I'm like, is there a place for us in this?
I think that, like, as you said, the podcast industry is very saturated. But I also feel like podcasts aren't going anywhere because I listen to them all day, every day. And I don't feel like they're vulnerable and talk about the deep stuff, but also like tell me what's up with Harry Styles this week, you know, like I want that balance. And we'll get more into like what that podcast is going to be, kind of like what to expect moving forward. And it's kind of like, who are we to start a podcast? We are literally just randoms, no following, nothing. But I feel like that's what makes it so great is I'm like, this is what I would want to listen to. Someone who's like just like me. We both have like walked very different lives of like, you know, you getting married young, having kids right away, and like me not getting married until later in life and like still trying to have kids, you know, like we have both lived like different lives in tandem. And I feel like we both can bring a lot to the table and different perspectives.
Even to each other, which is so crazy because like, yeah, we have been at completely different points of our life, most of our friendship.
Yeah.
And it's hard to like, it feels like it should be hard to relate to someone that like isn't going through what you're going through. But with us, it's always been very easy and natural.
Yeah. And like supporting each other through like the different phases of life, which honestly has maybe been good because it's like, I can talk to you about this. You can talk to me about that. It's great. But I do just like genuinely feel like this is like the right move for us. And I'm super excited.
Yes, me too.
Oh yeah. Side note, Chelsey married one of my good guy friends.
You introduced me to him.
Yeah. When was that? How old were we?
I was 18 or 19.
Oh yeah. It was right before I moved to San Francisco, huh? Yeah. So Chelsey had like dated, she was just such a flirt in high school. So she like,
I love that for
we
me.
kind of merged friend groups and stuff because we both grew up in different towns and didn't go to the same high school. So like she would come hang out with me and my friends. I'd go hang out with her and her friends. And so like every guy friend I feel like I had, Chelsey would start dating or like they would like Chelsey. And so she had dated all these guys. And so when Brandon came along and she was like, I like Brandon. I was like, no, not Brandon. Like he's like one of my good guy friends. And I was worried it wasn't going to work out and whatever. So when I moved to San Francisco, you guys started hanging out.
Oh my gosh, I was so scared to tell you because she, like, Sammy literally told me, you cannot date Brandon. You will not screw over another one of my guy friends. Like, absolutely no. And I was like, okay, I promise I won't. And then literally, like, we're just sneaking behind your back, like, hee hee, we're dating. But then when you found out, like, hey, I'm serious about him, I really like him, you were like, so excited.
Totally on board. Yeah.
You're like, these are two of my best friends.
Yeah.
Oh, also, Brandon was Sammy's first kiss in 8th grade. So it's
out.
all just like one big happy family.
Chelsea's husband, Brandon, he was that like classic guy that every girl in junior high and high school had a crush on.
I know, he's just so sweet.
And he's so nice. And just like, no, yeah. And then he became like one of my best guy friends and still up until like now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it ended up being a good thing that you guys dated and then later got married.
And yeah, so we've been married almost 10 years. Isn't that insane?
That is insane.
In September, it'll be 10 years. I want to do something like epic for a 10-year. And we have 3 kids together. So we have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So it is a packed house. And I'm
in the thick of it.
Like literally in the thick of it. And I'm a stay-at-home mom. So Brandon works full time and I'm able to stay home with the babies, and he owns a candy factory with his family. It's like always weird saying that because they're like Willy Wonka.
Shout out Sir Walter.
Yeah, Sir Walter Candy, be our first sponsor. But yeah, so he owns that with his family, so they literally all work together. His parents, his siblings, everyone works there. So yeah, he's working there and we are just living life. And I feel like for me, I am just like this classic, like love the pop culture, love reading all the books that everyone's reading. Also, I can't get into fantasy. That's like side note. We'll get more into that. But I've read all the fantasy books, but I'm not like, I can't do like, the fairy dudes. Like I can't.
No, the second you told me about that, I was like, I'm out.
I know, but
like rubbing of the fairy wings, like I cannot with that. But you do recommend all the good books.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm like, I feel like I'm good at book recommendations, and then I just feel like I know all the pop culture.
And you're like weirdly invested in celebrity couples.
Oh my gosh. Okay, my favorite right now is Tom and Zendaya, obviously.
Okay, yeah. So you're like, sure, but you're like deep in it.
I know.
And you're like, also such an empath. That's something that our listeners will learn about you.
Yes. But here's the thing I'm realizing. If someone says I'm an empath, it's like, are you?
Yeah.
Like, don't.
Yeah.
But you saying that, like, you're a real homie, because it's like, okay, you see that. I know
it is very overused now, but I feel like back in the day, you would always be like, I'm an empath.
I know, because it really is like, I feel so deeply. That's why film and television is so fun for me to watch, because I feel like I can get so into it. And that is like another one of my passions. Like IMBD is my favorite app. I'm just like, okay, who's the director? Who's the costume designer? Like, I want to know what else they've designed. Like, I'm getting really into that, but I love a good, like, cheesy, not too cheesy.
You do.
I watched Hot Frosty.
Yeah.
I watched Hot Frosty on Netflix.
Did you finish it?
Yeah. And I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, but like, you watched it.
I watched all of it.
Here's the thing. I am a sucker for Hallmark movies.
I know you are, but you didn't like Hot Frosty.
He was acting like a gorilla or something. Like he's like, like, oh, what's this? Like, oh, food. I eat food. I'm like, I can't get into this because he's just a snowman.
I cannot.
Like, and it wasn't even like, she wasn't that desperate for love. Like, she's like, sure, I'll go on a date. But then like the first like snowman made into real life guy comes along and she's just like, I didn't even finish it.
I know, I'm so like,
but that's the thing.
I'm
So I don't even know. They ended up together, right?
yeah, he became human. He wasn't melting
So
anymore.
did she have to like teach him everything?
Yeah, but he learned really fast.
He started melting?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't get into that type of stuff.
I know.
It's more just like I'm like, I cannot take this seriously. But like, if you find me a girl who like needs to save her grandfather's tree farm, hell yeah. I'm into that. But like,
you
not.
love Hallmark? Like, I cannot do Hallmark.
See, but that hot frosty is like too fantasy. Like,
I
your
know,
truck
and
breaks down on the way to the tree farm. That's realistic.
Okay.
Guy wears scarf and turns into a human. Not realistic. But I do love Jack Frost, where his dad's the snowman. That's so underrated.
It's so good. And that's actually what I was thinking. I'm sorry. Like, I am dying. Okay. That's literally what I was thinking about when I was watching that. I was like, oh, I want to watch that other one.
Yeah. Jack Frost.
But also it's like fun. That's what I'm saying. It's like I can get into the deep, like Interstellar. Like I can get into that and be like, this is so good. And then like Hot Frosty, like I'm like, meh,
yeah,
let's watch it. So I feel like that's like one of my passions. But I'm just like here to freaking hang with the homies. Hopefully like honestly build a community.
Yeah.
And just laugh with my best friend. Like, okay, but I was gonna say too, the best thing about me marrying Brandon was you married Hayden, who's also one of my good friends, and you've known him since what? 8th grade?
Yeah, since 8th grade.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, Chelsey had to listen to me moan and cry about being single for like all of my 20s.
Yeah.
Oh man, like every guy that I would date and
I was so here for it. It was like my personal like freaking television show because you were dating like a new guy every week.
Yeah. And then I just was like, oh, like heartbroken. And I'm like, I'm going to marry this one, I swear. And then, yeah, so I was friends with him in 8th grade, just a little bit. We had like foods class together. And then like I always knew who he was, but we did not keep in touch. And then we'd follow each other on Instagram. And
he was your first text, no? Like you texted him like.
Yeah, no, we randomly texted at the beginning of 8th grade.
That's so cute. And
for like a week. Like I just remember randomly being like, oh, this is like the first boy I ever texted.
But you didn't have a crush on him.
No, but I remember like from the very beginning, he dated one of my like good friends in 7th grade. They were like boyfriend and girlfriend. Okay. And we met him at the movies. And he had like brown hair with the wings.
What did he have? The Abercrombie?
No, he had this Hollister brown and white striped polo with the like cargo shorts and the flip flops. Like just like the classic outfit, like the guy on like Unfabulous, like that type of guy.
Yes.
And so I was like, oh, my friend, she's so lucky. Like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. And then like I don't think I ever thought about it again. Like I don't remember like liking him or anything, but I just remember randomly being like, oh, I'm texting a boy right now. Like it was like a big deal. And then so anyways, flash forward all of these years, he like slid into my, he would like message me here and there.
It's so weird though, because during this time, like Hayden was one of our really good friends, me and Brandon.
Yeah.
Like we would
and
hang
you
out.
never thought to even set me up with him.
I know, and you're so upset with that. But I'm like, for me, I'm like, if they were gonna date, like they know each other.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna set them up, you know?
Yeah, totally. But we were both single, and so he'd message me back and forth here and there. And then one time he messaged me, and I was like, you know what? Like he just like responded to my story, and I was like, I don't know why we've never hung out, but we should. And then he was like, yeah, I'd love to take you out. And then he took me out. And you
didn't even know it was on it. You didn't know it was a date. You thought you guys were just like grabbing dinner. And then like he wanted to pay or something.
Yeah. So then he like went to go pay, and I was like, oh no, it's fine. Like let's split it. And he was like, what the this is a date.
And then you literally texted me, I think, on the date. And you're like, I think I'm on a date with Hayden Stewart. And I was like, ha ha ha, what? Like,
yeah. Because I just couldn't get a filler for it. Like, I'm like, we're like friends. Like, I was like thinking we'd like catch up, talk about what it's like to be single, you know, the woes and highs of being single and stuff, whatever. Because he's like, we're like some of the last ones standing from like high school.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get married till we were 30, you know?
I know, that's crazy.
But yeah, now it's so fun because he was already in your guys' friend group and he was already friends with Brandon. So it's just like a natural,
Oh my gosh.
which is every girl's dream that like they marry best friends.
I know. It's everything. Okay. So tell us a little bit more about you though.
Oh yeah. So then, yeah, that was like back in like 2021. And so we've been married now for a little over a year.
Like a year and a half, no?
Yeah. Like a year. It was a year in September. So a little bit. And
most beautiful wedding ever.
Oh yeah. So fun. And we've been trying to get pregnant for the last year, which has sucked because it's been quite the journey. So going through a little bit of infertility.
It's so unfair. We would joke because he was like, you would like date all these guys and all stuff. And you're like, the thing is though, I'm going to get married and be able to have my babies right away. Like if I have a hard time getting pregnant, it's going to be the sickest joke. And we're like, haha, like, yeah, that will never happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And here I am.
Like a year and a half in and we're just like, crap.
So like, I guess this is really happening. Yeah. Yeah. I know, because I always just felt like, okay, it took me longer to get married. I had to be like patient, practice patience, whatever. Then it's just like, you know, it just feels like, and that's what I've been having a hard time with like this last year. And Chelsea's helped me really just having like this like comparison and feeling like I've been like robbed of like things just playing out how I want them to. And, you know, like it's obviously proven to me that things have played out better than I imagined that they would. And I'm so glad that it did work out that way. But it still is really hard. And I'm like in the thick of it, just like having to practice, like whatever happens will happen.
Yeah.
So that, and so I feel like I've been like, and you've helped me through infertility and you helped me through the loss of my mom. My mom died 3 years ago from COVID. And that was super hard. And
I feel like that's like a big part, like grief, like dealing with grief and like how to handle that and everything.
Yeah.
It's been extremely emotional as someone who loves you so much, like seeing you go through that kind of like, I'm not in it, you know, but I see it from like an outside perspective, but I feel like you'll be able to touch and hopefully connect with a lot of people on the grief, and you're still experiencing that and going through that every day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I felt like when my mom died, it was like right when me and Hayden had started dating. And so much of my life fell apart as so much like fell into place at the same time. And so it was this weird transition. And now that I've like settled in that, it is like so happy, but also so sad. And then like dealing with infertility, it's been hard. So yeah, it's like a lot of navigating that, but I do also just feel like I am in this like sweet and happy spot. And like me and Hayden, like, we live in my mom's old house, and that's been like super happy.
And I feel like the holidays and everything, it's always so special because you see like your mom's hand in a lot of that, like being in her house.
Yeah, it definitely feels special. So yeah, I feel like that's been my challenge this last year, is just trying to navigate that. And I'm like kind of in the tech field, which has been fun and like a skill that I've developed.
You're like a boss. Like she's legit.
Yeah. And so I really love my job, and I'm super fulfilled by that. And so I don't know, it's like hard to try and navigate this, like wanting to go into motherhood, like wanting that phase so bad, and then also like wanting to grow in my career. And like we're at different phases of life and different things like that. And
it's so hard that you have to be able, like, your dream has always been stay home with your babies.
Yeah.
But also I feel like the past few years you've really worked on your career, and it's like, I love this. Like, I don't want to give all this up.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be like interesting to see how you navigate once you do get pregnant and become a mother, like what that'll look like.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard because I look at a lot of my friends, and like a lot of you guys are able to stay home, and that's just not a reality for us. Like with this economy and things, I don't have that luxury. And so I'm like, I have to continue to build on my career in order to like stay afloat as well, you know? And so, I mean, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. First thing is just getting pregnant, and then we'll see. But what's so fun is like, you've already walked this path and you'll be able to help me with that, which also makes our dynamic so fun.
Okay, so let's rewind the clocks kind of back to the beginning of our friendship and how we met.
Yes. I love telling this story.
Okay, I'm putting my blanket on and getting cozy.
Okay,
Let's get cozy.
Okay, so it was junior year of high school. And I had been kind of dating this guy, and I was having a sleepover with my cousin, and we were scrolling on Facebook, and we saw him tagged in this chick's picture. And that chick was you.
I'm the chick.
And my cousin's like, who is this hoe? I'm messaging her right now. And so she messaged you. And I don't even remember what she said, but
I feel like she was just like, hey, my cousin's dating this guy. Like, why?
Who are you?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's literally my boyfriend.
Yeah. Cool.
Love that for me.
And so anyways, we started texting.
No, she was like, oh, here's my cousin's number. You should text her. And so I texted you and I was like, hey, so
Yeah. And so then we started texting, and it was just like John Tucker must die status, where we were just going back and forth, like comparing stories.
like,
and
were you here this night? Were you there?
like, does he say this to you? Oh my gosh, he says that to me. The classic, you know? And then we talked on the phone for 3 hours. And like, not even about this guy, but just all of the deep things.
I think we talked about this dude for 10 minutes. And then the other time we were just chatting. I don't even know about what.
And then like that whole next week we kept texting, and I kind of was waiting for it to fade out because we had already touched on all of this, and I don't even think that like either of us confronted him about it, but we just kept talking, and it just was kind of this like rush of like being friends with each other. And so then we kept talking, and then there was one night that I texted you and I was like, come pick me up, and you came and picked me up from classic skating because we were disco skating or whatever.
Yeah, Utah County. Hello, classic skating. Disco skating.
And then we like went just for like a drive, and you were doing donuts in the church parking lot.
Oh my gosh, I was trying to impress you so bad.
Yeah.
Like
I was just like,
I was e-breaking that up. Just
yeah. And so I feel like from then on we were such good friends because we just vibed. Oh, and then like a week later I texted you and asked you to come to St. George with me. Like my mom rented a place in St. George, and like a couple of my best friends came, and
it was literally
like,
you and your two best friends, and I was like, sure.
Yeah.
Like I'll tag along. Ended up we were just like on a solo date. We were on a solo trip, me and you.
Yeah. But it was so fun. I feel like you jived with my friends, and we had so much fun. It just felt so natural that we were friends.
I know. I remember we stayed up till like 7:45 a.m. talking all night about all of our childhood trauma, and just it was crazy though. Like I feel like I was like sharing things with you that I had never told anyone about.
Yeah.
And it's kind of those friendships. It's like lightning in a bottle. You just feel like automatically like connected to someone.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I totally agree. And so then we just were best friends ever since, like through all of the changes in life that we've both been through. And it's been what, 15, 18 years? I don't even know anymore since then.
Yeah.
And we're still best friends.
I know. And because of this random guy, I feel like I have my best friend, and you introduced me to my husband. So I feel like I won the lottery. So what do you like want our listeners to get out of this podcast?
It would be that feeling that we felt after that dinner that we went to. Just like feeling seen and heard, and just listening to people who are going through a lot of the same things that you are. I feel like so much of my life, I'm sure, is relatable to like the average woman, you know? And I want people to listen and to be fulfilled. Like I feel like that's been, whenever I can find a podcast that like touches on like a message or something that can kind of pinpoint what I'm feeling, that really helps me. And then I also just like want it to be entertaining and to like kind of recap like what's going on in the world with like pop culture and those type of things, and then like get deep on topics. There's so many conversations that we have that like I come home and talk to my husband about like something that we talked about. He's like, how did you guys even like get on that topic?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's just how it goes. But I love the things that we talk about and the conversations that we have just leave me feeling so fulfilled. And that's what I want our listeners to feel.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly what I'm wanting. And also, I kind of like mentioned it earlier, but I want a community. Like I want, if we ever have any listeners, like I want them to be part of this journey. Like we obviously don't know what we're doing. Like we've never done a podcast. We do not know anything. And we are just like day by day, I kind of want this podcast to go wherever it goes. And I just want to hang out with my best friend every day.
Yeah. And I do want to connect with people who have been through the same things that I have. Like I've found so much joy and connection, especially on like hard things that you've been through. So it's like if I can talk to someone or speak to something that someone's been through, like that would be everything to me.
Yeah. And like connecting on like the hard things and also the like trivial and like the funny and the like lighthearted, just random things like, oh, what was your favorite Disney Channel original movie? Like that kind of energy is what I live for. Yeah. So I want to just incorporate like everything that makes us us and our friendship, I just want to have this little time capsule of who we are and listening back to it and just being like, wow, those are the conversations that we've had the last 16 years. And now we're just kind of recording them.
Yep. 100% agree. And I can't wait. I think it's going to be so much fun. And I can't wait to see all of the different things that we get into and talk about. Okay, so I think that's it for today. I know that we wanted this first episode to be kind of just like a little teaser of what's to come and how this podcast came to be and kind of what our listeners can expect. So hopefully you guys enjoyed learning a little bit more about us. And we're really excited for this journey with you. And hopefully you'll stay tuned for our next episode.
Yes, we will see you guys soon.
Okay, love ya.
Love ya.
Bye.